It's rather a special family, yours, isn't it? This drawing is of your father, who was an Anglo-Saxon scholar and the principal of University College Leicester. So you lived among academics, and presumably the academic world had held no terrors for you, and learning came naturally and was expected.
Well, I won't say about it didn't hold terrors for me, because actually I was very frightened of my father, really. I mean, I had a great... he was very strict. He was he was a strong disciplinarian, and the worst moments of my childhood were the moments when I had to show him my reports at the end of school.
He would raise his voice?
No, he wouldn't raise his voice.
Disapprove?
Oh, dreadful. I mean, I remember going to him with my report, which of course I'd steamed open naturally, so I knew I was bottom, and I knew, you know, it was sort of good work spoilt by silly behaviour, those sort of things. And I remember going to his desk and offering him this report, and I remember opening it and unfolding it and reading it, and for what seemed like eternity, and never saying anything, and I was standing there, and eventually I said, Father, is that all right? He said, I think you'd better go, son. I mean, that was dreadful.
But that was done with love, because you clearly did admire him and love him too.
Years later, I mean, he told me, he said, you know, I used to laugh. He said on one occasion, he was bald. On one occasion, he told me when I was, I don't know, 9 or 10, some terrible report. And he apparently folded the report and said, what have you got to say, son? And I thought this was a sort of, the report was over, and now this was general conversation, as you might say. So thinking, casting around for something to say, I said, you haven't got much hair, Father. And he said he had a difficulty in keeping a straight face.
But what's all this about these bad reports, David? Have you been catching up ever since?
And I was hopeless at school until I suddenly found that you could use what I had learnt in the landscape of Leicestershire in terms of fossils and birds and one thing and another, and you could use that as an academic subject. And when I discovered biology, as it were, then things changed.
You're still learning, aren't you? I mean, you have spent your life seeking out, finding and elucidating, for the benefit of other people, things about the natural world. Did it just take root then?
Oh yes, I think so. What was fun was finding out about these things, and it became fun to tell other people about it. And I remember, I mean, my father, again, for example, if I found a fossil, which I could have done and did a great deal in Leicestershire, with lovely fossils, ammonites and things, I would go to my father and say, what's this? And instead of saying, as some might, oh, well, that's called Tiltonoceros, it's an ammonite, it lived 350 million years ago, and anybody knows that, and you should have known that. I mean, he didn't say that. What he said was, gosh, it's marvellous, isn't it? It is really a wonderful thing. I mean, but how does it get in the middle of the rock? You know, I mean, now, if you go to the museum, I think you'll find more, and I know that there are a number of good books on that, and it's worth you having a look at those, you know. And then, 2 weeks later, you would go and say, Father, it's called Tiltonoceros, and it's what's called an ammonite, and it's 350 million years old, would you believe? You know, I'd say, no, really, son, how extraordinary.
Now, that's a good teacher.
Well, that's right. That's what teaching is.